the discussion, and James Carville over Medicaid funding in the big, beautiful bill. And this is out of control what the Democrats are trying to do. We'll add some context to this of what Bill O'Reilly was arguing last night with James Carville and where Carville has gone wrong. We have a young phenom from St. Joseph, Missouri that we're going to talk with Mark about later in the show that pitched into the seventh inning with a no-hitter last night for the Royals, which a lot of people around Kansas City are buzzing about. Noah Cameron is his name. He didn't really have no-hit stuff, but we'll get into that later. It was an amazing debut as the Royals have won 8 out of 9. And John Elway is being investigated by Riverside, California County Sheriff's Department for his involvement in driving a golf cart that led to the death of his friend, business partner, and agent of 35 years over the weekend, a story we heard nothing about for 4 days until the man died. This is a wild one. We start today with the Tesla terrorist in Kansas City, and there are not many stories that get my blood boiling. I may not always sound like it on the radio. I get excited sometimes. Part of that is just the adrenaline of being on live radio or whatever. But there are some stories that get my blood boiling, just like I'm sure there are some things that you read or hear and you go, okay, that one can pass, this can pass, whatever, or, oh, that's just the world the way it is. And then every now and then one will hit you right in the gut and you'll go, wait a second, this is so wrong. We've had a couple this week. The firefighter, certainly, and the death of the firefighter in Kansas City has touched us all in a way that this next story doesn't. This next story just touches us as outrage. It makes you want to punch something. This Tesla terrorist, Owen McIntyre, that made homemade bombs, Molotov cocktails, went to the Kansas City Tesla dealership on State Line, allegedly bombed these cars and torched them, ran off. The authorities thought they were looking for a woman. They described a woman leaving the scene. Later figured out it was young Mr. Owen, age 19, a student in Boston from Kansas City that was home on spring break doing this. After Owen was arrested, Kash Patel put a comment out, Pam Bondi put a comment out. We're going to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. This will not be allowed. We're going to make an example out of these people. They're going to jail for a long, long time. And that was a lie. Owen is free. Owen has been sent home to mommy and daddy by a federal judge in Boston, of all places. The judge, Jessica Hedges, has decided young Mr. Owen has mental illness. Now, let me just give you any of these 3 reasons. There are 3 reasons. There's more than 3 that he was released, but let me just give you one of them and ask, how does it feel that young Owen is a domestic terrorist, which has basically been defined by the Trump administration, for attacking these dealerships? If nothing else, he's a political terrorist, because this is all about politics. If you had a judge say, we're going to let a terrorist free because they have a mental illness, when does that happen? We have people in the legal system saying it happens all the time. I mean, wait a second. A bomber. I'm not talking about somebody who was jaywalking. You made Molotov cocktails and blew stuff up, and you get to walk because you're mentally ill. That's one. The second reason given was, oh, young Mr. Owen has gender dysphoria, and jail is not a good place for someone with gender dysphoria. What? And then the last one, federal holding areas, because he hasn't been convicted or he's been charged but not convicted, federal detention centers are not well equipped to provide the proper medicine necessary to transition from a male to a female. So Owen's got to go home to mommy and daddy. What the hell? I am livid. This is the lead story at Breitbart.com. This has all the markings of a national story that will get pounced on and become a big deal over the coming weeks. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Donald Trump, everyone all the way to the top need to be asked about the Kansas City case. This is going to become the lead case of all the Tesla bombers. This man started transitioning in March and now needs meds. Well, we know you bombed a thing and you're a terrorist. Look, I can't even comment on how this happened. I'm going to assume, maybe I shouldn't, that Jessica Hedges, the U.S. magistrate judge in Boston, is a flaming liberal that is sticking a giant middle finger to the Trump administration by letting this person loose, saying, well, there's precedent for this, and I'm sure there is precedent for this. But not on this crime, and not something as high profile and a national discussion like domestic terrorism, which seemed to be a theme from the Biden administration, if I remember right. Domestic terrorism, they said, was the number one threat to America. I think Trump, Bondi, Patel should all come out and say, we agree with Joe Biden. Domestic terrorism is the number one threat to America, and we got to have young Mr. Owen back in jail now. I don't know what they can do. I don't know what you can do against these judges that let people go. I honestly, I don't know what you can do other than speed up the prosecution, convict him. This is going to lead to a conviction and a prison sentence. It's going to, even though he's home with mom and dad. But we know what's happening in this country. Every judge everywhere that's liberal is jacking with Donald Trump if they can. That's what's going on. And now it's going to be centered around Kansas City. Honestly, I've been wrong before about these things. I don't know how this doesn't become a huge national story over the next couple of weeks. The news cycle's always behind, so they're just seeing it and catching up with it. We just learned of this late yesterday and into today. Apparently, young Owen was released a few days ago, and nobody knew. They did this one quietly. Maybe their own little internal high five. Hey, look what we did to Trump. We got one of his Tesla terrorists and set him free. He's home with mommy and daddy in Kansas City, Missouri, because he's just 19. That's not a minor. There'll be no trying this man as a minor. He's 19, and he's mentally ill, which is exactly how you describe people that bomb Teslas or key them or have Trump derangement syndrome or walk around after leaving mommy's basement in their flip-flops and jammies with sharp objects putting scratches into Teslas. We've seen these freaks. We know who they are. We know exactly who they are. They all have problems. And I'm not trying to be inhumane to people with mental illness. Let's help them before they commit these crimes. This is exactly the problem we're having with this woman, Bassell, that killed the firefighter. You can't tell me that she doesn't have some sort of mental problem, mental illness. The things that she has done are mentally deranged, and it could be from being on drugs, but that's a mental illness too. We got to get people help. I don't have the answer to that part. All I know is we can't keep getting freaks in jail who are bombing Teslas or biting police officers and letting them walk and sending them home to mommy. The hell are we doing? And Mundo's been great. He got that prosecutor on from Clay County. And he's had interviews. He's got all these people talking, and they're all like, well, the protocol is that. I don't care what the protocols are anymore. No more protocols. We've got a mental health crisis in this country. And if people that are mentally ill want to act out on their mental illness because it's directed because of the media and because of Democrats, who earlier this week we heard J.B. Pritzker say, there will be no peace for Republicans. There will be no peace. They're calling these people to action. They're calling mentally ill people to go act and do things and convince them that they hate Donald Trump and their life sucks and they're mentally ill and they're deranged because of Donald Trump, that they don't know what their gender is because of Donald Trump, that they don't like their parents, they hate their professor in college, their girlfriend dumped them because of Donald Trump. That's what they're convincing these people to do. And when you have people suffering from depression and mental illness, gender dysphoria, whatever the hell that is, and they commit crimes, and now we're like, we'll let you loose? I love Pete's line, keep a wig and dress in the back seat. If you ever get in any trouble, just put it on. Claim you're transitioning, they'll let you go. They'll at least send you home to your wife. Whatever. This is outrageous. I don't know if it's gotten to the White House yet. I don't know if Pam Bondi knows. I don't know who knows. But if this doesn't get acted upon, if they don't do something about this and get this person back in jail, I've not been critical hardly at all of Donald Trump. I love everything that he does and stands for. What I will not tolerate is the tough talk from these people that they're going to do a job and not do it. I won't stand for it. I will be the first person with a microphone to say this is absolute BS. Pam Bondi, you're full of it. Get this guy, get him back detained. I don't care what it takes, do it. Override the judge, appeal the release, whatever it has to be. Hold a news conference, tell us what you're doing, get this person back. You talk tough about all these Tesla terrorists, and you said you were throwing the book at them, and now this kid's running loose with mommy and daddy. Well, what a prison sentence. While he awaits trial, we assume down the road, he's hanging out with mom and dad in Kansas City because a Boston judge let him go. It is absolutely outrageous. 913-408-7957. That's 408-7957. We got a lot coming up today, including the Medicaid issue in the big, beautiful bill as it was discussed on News Nation last night. Tremendous event that you heard right here on KCMO Talk Radio. And John Elway being investigated by a sheriff's department for being the driver of a golf cart that led to his friend's death. It's all ahead on Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. We are presented today by our friends at bestofferkc.com. Did you know selling with a realtor isn't the only way to sell a house? Well, it's true. Over 10% of the houses in Kansas City sell off market. That's where Best Offer KC comes in. I'm sure you've heard about companies that will buy your house as is. Most of them have goofy, clowny names. Most of them look like people that you really probably shouldn't trust all that much. You know who I'm talking about. You've seen it. You know what it's all about. It sounds too good to be true because many of them are what they call wholesalers. They will offer you a number for the house, and then after they go through it and look at it and the condition it's in, 3 weeks later say, nope, we're not honoring that. We'll offer half that now. BestOfferKC.com has never done that once. Their price is their price. If you need to sell your home, there is only one person to call. When it's got to go, it's got to go. This could be for personal reasons, medical reasons. Maybe you inherited a house. There's a lot of reasons people need to sell their house fast. BestOfferKC.com will give you the offer, and it is immediately good. In many cases, they will lend you money to help you move before it closes. They have their own title agency in-house. This is a big business in Kansas City. Real estate is what they know best at bestofferkc.com. If you're in a spot where you need to move a home for whatever reason, they don't think your house is ugly, they respect your situation, and Mark Delatour and his staff legitimately, completely, and totally are in it to help you in a bad situation. I met one of their people, one of their employees, team members a couple of weeks ago, who's a former pastor. And he's no longer a pastor, but his calling in life is to help people. And he says, I can't believe how many people I go into their home, help them make an offer, the situation they're in, to help them out and give them peace of mind that it's going to be okay, and we'll get you this money. We'll even lend you money in transition before we get this house closed. It's unbelievable. This is a company with a heart. It really is about the folks selling the home and helping them out. BestOfferKC.com, helping you leave the hassle behind.
If it's happening in KCMO, it's on KCMO 95.7 FM. Here's Kevin Kietzman.
Golfer Phil Mickelson has responded to Chuck Schumer and the SAVE Act, which is to protect American voters, citizens only. And Phil Mickelson posted on X, how is this fighting for Americans? How is letting non-citizens vote in American elections a good thing? It is not. Chuck Schumer is not representing America, its citizens, or their best interest. He's a traitor. Phil Mickelson, off the bench, in for the dunk. I love that one. Let's go to the phones, and first up today is Steve in Overbrook. Good morning, Steve. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, man. It's the first time ever calling to your show, but I do listen every day, so I love what you and Pete and everybody do.
Thank you very much.
More guys like you.
Thank you.
So here's my take on this whole, the subject before, mental health, and I'm going to focus it around that. So for about I'll say between 4 and 6 decades now, the grand social experiment has failed. The left has won. Whether, I don't care how conservative you are, how liberal you are, how middle of the road you are, the left has won. Now, you look at the systematic removal of the father from the home, i.e. divorce. 80% of divorces are filed by women. About 20% on average are filed by men. Now, I will not take away from women who are true single parents. Now, there's a lot of argument there to be had. How did they become one? Why are they one? That's not today's argument. But the studies are out. The numbers have been done. When children are raised by a quote-unquote single mom, they more often than not turn out as though they were raised by no one other than themselves. When children are raised in a single father household, they turn out as though they were raised by both biological parents, psychologically, emotionally, physically, all the way across the board.
Right.
You want to fix the mental health problem in this nation, we got to stop divorce unless it is absolutely necessary. And when I say that, even before all these restrictions were put on, or my body, my choice, or what have you, people could still get out of marriages if you could prove gross abuse. That has never changed. But to make it so easy just to say, hey, you know what, you're going to be a twice-a-month MFer, and you're going to write me a check, and I'm going to get on the system, and the system is going to raise your kids. The school district is going to raise your kids. Where in the hell do we think that there's a win-win in that scenario?
Okay, I'm with you, Steve. I like your points. I don't know where all the mental illness is coming from, but I do like your points, and I think you make terrific sense. This is very common sense stuff. The issue that I would disagree with is I don't think this is a government solution. I think this is a cultural and societal issue, maybe even a church issue, a morals issue. There's a lot of different things involved here, but you can't have a government tell people that they can't get divorced. I mean, that's just, there's no, we can't, and I don't think you were saying that, but it sort of sounded like that's where you were going. We have to fix this as a people, as human beings, as a society. Knowing what's best for us and doing what's best for us is the hardest thing to do sometimes. Look at all the resistance that RFK Jr. is getting right now. It's unbelievable. He's trying to help people get healthy so we don't die. And our insurance premiums come down, and people are resisting that, saying you can't tell me what to do. So it's definitely a tricky situation. Last night on News Nation, my favorite clip we're going to play for you right here was Bill O'Reilly and James Carville. Trump was great. The whole thing was great. You can watch or listen to the whole thing at newsnationnow.com. It was on KCMO Talk Radio, and James Carville came on and started spouting out that this big, beautiful bill is going to be cutting funding for Medicaid, Social Security, Medicare, and all that stuff, and Bill O'Reilly wasn't having it.
I would not extend these billionaires' tax cuts, and I would not pay for them by clobbering the middle class and the lower middle class by cutting Medicaid expenses, of which
he said he wasn't going to cut Medicaid.
Go watch the budget that's been submitted. It's already got 600. He said he was going to end the war.
There's nothing about cutting Medicaid in the budget.
Did
this
he
is
say
your propaganda,
Did
Jim.
he say I'm not? Did he say or not say I'm going to end the Ukraine
bunch of
war?
bull, and you know it. No, you can't. You can't say it's in the budget. There's a Medicaid cut when there isn't.
Excuse me for speaking while you interrupted me.
I am. This is ridiculous. And he does it every night.
Can I make a point?
Yes, go ahead.
He was going to end the Ukraine war on day one.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
it's absurd. What did Biden do for 4 years in there? Nothing.
I didn't
drive me nuts.
He said he was going to end the Ukraine war.
You can't tell by your demeanor.
Please fact check me. Somebody look it up on your cell phone. Did Trump say I'm going to end the Ukraine war on day one?
And I was going to wear an LSU T-shirt, but I'm not now.
You don't have to.
Can I ask a quick question?
We'll get over it.
You got to fight to get into this.
I'm not going to fight.
All right, so it was very spirited. What Trump actually said was he's going to end the war in Ukraine, and it might even be on day one. It may end by day one. It may end day one because that's what Reagan did basically with the hostages in 1980. And I never thought it would be day one. I don't know any reasonable person that would have thought that. I don't. But this is what they do on the left. Now, back to the Medicaid issue, because this is very interesting. I heard Speaker Johnson say that they are going to save money in Medicaid, and here's how they're going to do it. It has to do with states. The federal government sends money to the states for Medicaid. Then that's where you get your money. That's where you get your benefits. That's where you get your care. We have, and I don't need to list these for you. You know which states they are. We have many states in America that provide full care, medical care across the board for any illegal alien through Medicaid. They take their Medicaid dollars, and what's actually happening is that's Democrat states. They're taking the Medicaid dollar away from American citizens, and they're funneling to illegal aliens. And that's going to stop. In this big, beautiful bill, if they write it into the bill, they can say the Medicaid money that's coming to you, okay, cannot be used for anyone other than an American citizen. They can write that into law. It's a bill. It becomes a law. That's what they're going to do. Now, if they want to back out all of the money which they know has been spent on illegal aliens, they're not cutting anything. They're just cutting what the illegal aliens got. That may happen, and I'm for that. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. I'm Kevin Kietzman. We're back in a flash.
You're listening to Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
All right, we are back on Uncanceled, and to the phones we go. We got some folks want to chime in on some of these things we're talking about today, which is excellent. Also, still ahead is John Elway in trouble. It is absolutely possible that he is. We'll get to that in a few moments. Here is Michelle in Overland Park. Good morning, Michelle. How are you?
Good morning. Good. I just wanted to thank you, first of all, for the story on our Kansas City Tesla bomber, because I had not heard that. So I appreciate you bringing that to light. And I do have a concern that he is back as well. I don't know the rest of the story, but is he on house arrest?
Yeah, he's been sent home to live with his mommy. That's what we do at the federal level now with domestic terrorists. You're mentally ill. You don't know if you're a man or a woman. You need your meds. Go home and stay with mommy.
Are mental institutions closed these
Apparently,
days?
yes. I think they are. We used to have them. There were all kinds of federal institutions where we could put people. They say they can't handle a person that needs gender drugs.
Yes. Well,
How about he stops taking gender drugs?
Absolutely. It wasn't the shooter, unfortunately, at the school in Tennessee going through gender transition.
Yes, and an overwhelming number of the Tesla vandals that they've found are trans. This is a thing. There is mental illness and transgenderism, and they're violent, and they're committing crimes everywhere, and it's the most underreported thing in America.
And we just need to challenge our society to really look and rethink of transitioning, gender dysphoria, whatever it is. There is something, and we need to wake up. Thank you for bringing the story. I do sympathize for those with mental illness.
Yes.
I've had family depression, anxiety, whatnot. I know it's not fun, but you can be treated. You can be helped.
And there is a growing number of people all across the country that get into their 20s and 30s that have gone through a sex change and are transgender, and they regret it. They've got balance in their life. They've figured out their mental illness. They're on proper medication. They're living a normal life, and they regret what they did when they were younger.
Absolutely. I thank you. Thanks again. Appreciate all you guys do.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate your call, as always. Here's Mark in Independence on KCMO Talk Radio. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Kevin, great show. I called up for another reason. I'm going to interject it in a minute, but I'm retired military, and since the judge believes that the jail system can't handle transgender care, why do the liberals believe the military can? They're going to put a M16 in a kid's hand that's having mental problems?
That's an excellent point. Truly an excellent point. And I think it's over. We're not dealing with that right now, but there's going to be a Democrat president again. Are they going to go right back to it?
Well, probably so. That's all the more reason not to ever elect a Democrat again. But I just wanted to state also the main reason I called is I just heard on the radio, and you can confirm it, that Mike Walsh have been fired in relation to Signalgate.
Okay, so you broke up for a second. What did you say you heard?
Okay. I just heard on the radio, on the news break, that Mike Walsh, National Security Advisor, has been fired, he and one other person, because of Signalgate. And I'm just going to say that I don't believe it was an accident, and that's my opinion.
Okay, I appreciate the call. We'll check that out and follow up on it as soon as we possibly can. Here's Linda in the Northland on KCMO. Hi, Linda. What's up?
Good morning. This is something I've been wondering for a long time. On this gender-affirming care, I said, we're not affirming what their gender is. We're affirming the opposite. And I wonder why, when these men want to become women, they start giving them estrogen. Why don't they give them more testosterone?
Because you can't.
I mean, that's what I don't understand. Affirm what they really are as opposed to the other, and maybe it will make a correction. Maybe it won't, but are they looking into that?
Well, you go to your doctor and you say this is what they want, and then they do it for you. It'd be like going in for Botox in your lips and they give you collagen. I mean, you can't just give them the opposite of what they want. You understand? These people are walking in saying, I'm willing to pay for this. Here's what I want. And the doctors are giving it to them.
Well, I don't understand the doctors. What happened to do no harm? I mean,
okay.
that's off the table. I don't know.
Okay, so let's reverse this a little bit, Linda. And this is not gender specific, We've all seen plastic surgery's gone wrong, haven't we? Women that have gone in 13 times and pumped up all this and that. And now their eyes are swollen. They can barely see and their lips look like a duck. We've all seen that. Well, the doctors aren't going to say no. If you're going to come in and spend $11,000, the doctors are going to say yes. It's insane.
Just like what Kennedy wants to do and get these commercials off the air because people have self-diagnosed.
You're right.
And they come in and say, I want this drug, this drug, this
You're
drug.
right.
And the doctors don't say, no, this isn't good for you. They do it for the money. And I mean, it's appalling. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion.
It is. And it's not just the money that the patient is paying to the doctor. It's the pharmaceutical companies that are kicking it in for the doctors to push it and sell it because they make money from them too. Yes. And it happened with COVID, by the way. The doctors got paid like crazy to push the COVID shot. And it was just everywhere. Excellent call, Linda. I mean, an excellent call. I love it when the ladies call the show. You guys are awesome. I think that maybe you're smarter than the rest of us. I think there might be something to that. I think it's possible that that's the case. Here's Joe. He's got a tough act to follow. Hi, Joe. How are you today?
Oh, pretty good. I'm just curious as if the crime happened in Kansas City, why isn't he being tried in Kansas City?
They picked him up in Boston. He goes to school in Boston. It's a federal crime. The agents picked him up in Boston, and that's where they detained him.
But would they eventually put him or bring him back to Kansas City to stand trial?
I don't have that answer. Not if he's in that court. Again, it's federal, so it doesn't really matter which state.
Oh, okay.
It's a federal crime.
Right.
That's where they picked him up. So essentially, you commit the crime here, you get picked up somewhere else. They detain you there. Perhaps the trial would be in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. But that's the reason the Boston connection. He goes to school in Boston. He came home on spring break. He torched some Teslas because he's got mental illness, gender dysphoria, and he's taking estrogen and all kinds of medicine to grow boobs. And then he's got long hair and looks like a girl. And then he goes back to Boston to school, and that's when the FBI finds him. They arrest him. They put him in jail, and a judge lets him loose because he's mentally ill. I've never heard of this. I'm a judge. I mean, this is a low bar for judges. You don't turn somebody loose because they're mentally ill after they've made homemade bombs. It's a really low bar for a judge.
Okay. Well, I guess because of the federal crime, that makes sense.
Indeed. So. That's why. I'm just giving you,
right.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just telling you what I know, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate it. But an excellent, I'm glad that he called and asked that question because a lot of you may be driving around right now thinking, well, what's the Boston connection here? How's that the case? That's where he went to college. Now, there's a story that's got red flags all over it for me today, and that is the incident with John Elway, the great Denver Broncos quarterback, general manager, businessman, pitchman. Everybody knows John Elway. And John Elway had a 35-year friend that was also his agent and his business partner, and they were very close. His name was Jeff Sperbeck, and they were always together. They owned a winery together. They loved drinking wine. They just tremendous friends. This past weekend, they went to Palm Springs to a music festival called Stagecoach. On Saturday, when they were done at Stagecoach, they went to an after party. When they were done at the after party, John Elway and his wife, Sperbeck and his wife, and Elway's son all get onto what's being described as a golf cart. Now, don't think of the golf cart that seats two people on a golf course. It may have been that, but I doubt it. This is John Elway. These are big-time, really, really rich celebrity people. It's probably one of those people movers that you see Taylor Swift going into Arrowhead in. Probably. I don't know that, but probably. That seats maybe 6 people or whatever. And Elway reportedly was driving. And as he's driving back to wherever it is that they're going, his friend Sperbeck falls off the back, hits his head on the ground, and is lying there bleeding and still awake a little. And Elway calls 911. They rush him to the hospital, and they literally learn that there's almost nothing they can do for him. They artificially keep him alive, according to TMZ, so they can harvest the organs and donate them. This story was going on for 4 days with John Elway and one of the highest profile businessmen agents in the NFL. He had 100 players in the NFL that he represented over the years. This man, Sperbeck. And nobody knew this happened at a public place and an after party. We've not seen photos of Elway at the concert. We don't have social media posts. I mean, it's going to be coming. It's got to pop up. Why did we not know this John Elway story for 4 days? We know celebrity news like nobody's business. Palm Springs is where a lot of celebrities go for privacy. Their authorities there are known for protecting privacy in every possible way because it's loaded with celebrities. It's why a lot of celebrities get out of LA or wherever and go there and have a second home there. They can live a relatively normal life outside of Hollywood and that circus that it is. Or Denver, where certainly Elway can't go anywhere without being mobbed. So I don't know what happened. You don't know what happened. But a red flag for me is the story happens for 4 days and we don't know it until Wednesday when the man is declared legally dead. And Elway puts a post up that he's lost his friend. And it's such a tragedy. The man was with his wife. The women were there. The son was there. What happened on that golf cart? And why is the Riverside County Sheriff's Department investigating the incident? Because they are. There may be nothing. I know a little bit about golf cart accidents. I was in one. It was my own fault. Long time ago, playing River Oaks in Grandview. This is back when it was okay to drive in the rough instead of just fairway only. And it was a Saturday morning, and I was due at work at like 1 o'clock. We used to play at 6 a.m. because I worked at Channel 4 and had to go in. And my buddy's in the cart with me, and I'm driving through the rough, and there's a cutoff tree and a stump that I don't see the front of the buggy cleared it. But the middle part of the buggy where the transmission thing comes down caught it, and I hit my shoulder on the bar that the roof was on, and my buddy kind of just basically just rolled out of the cart. We weren't going very fast. Those things can happen. But almost every cart accident that I've heard about or know about, and I've had friends seriously hurt in cart accidents, involve alcohol. Most stagecoach concert events involve alcohol. Most people that co-own a winery together drink alcohol. I don't know what happened on that buggy. None of us do. But something went wrong. It doesn't seem that somebody would just fall off. Maybe he was just drunk and fell off the back. I don't know, but this is horrific. And it is an open case in Riverside County, California, and it's not getting a whole lot of play. Right now, it's just dude fell off a cart and died. That's not normal. 5 people in a golf cart is not normal. Have you ever seen Taylor Swift in any real jeopardy at Arrowhead of falling off the cart and dying? In fact, has anyone ever fallen off a cart, one of those people shuttle carts at Arrowhead, driven by somebody that was sober and they were sober? Doesn't happen. I don't know what happened. Maybe they were somewhere they weren't supposed to be. Maybe it was as simple as they were driving off into the desert to take a shortcut and hit a rock or whatever. I don't know. But that's not normal what happened. People don't just die falling off golf carts. And I'm very curious about this investigation. Sometimes I just see stories and they bring up red flags for me, and this is one of those. I thought I'd pass it along to you. One more call before we break. Here is Shonda calling in Olathe. Hi, Shonda. How are you?
Hey, Kevin. I'm doing okay. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I know I'm a little late to the party, but I listen every day to you guys. And wanted to just comment. The lady that called in about the, if I may say, lunatic that lit up the Teslas,
Mm-hmm.
She was saying you go to the doctor and they'll just give you whatever you want. That's unless you've, been in a serious accident and you have chronic pain and you need something. No, they want you to do all these tricks and tips before they'll ever help you, to sleep at night because they don't want to give you a pain medication. So it's all fun and games until you get into something serious where you really need it. But they'll be pumping these kids full of this stuff that changes their brains and their neurotransmitters where they do this kind of stuff. So it's just backwards.
It is. I'm a little hesitant to generalize medicine that way and put all doctors in one category because I think we do. I just think this might be like the judges that we're seeing in some of these cases. Yeah. Wouldn't you think that maybe 10% of the doctors out there are just flaming liberals that want to change sex for anybody that wants to do it?
Absolutely.
I think that's really what we're talking about. I don't think I know we're not talking about my doctor because he ain't doing this. I got a conservative doctor, and I know he ain't doing this. There's no way. He's going to send you away and say you need mental help.
Yeah. And that's what needs to be happening. Unfortunately, they closed all the assigned asylums, and there are no more for long term where these folks need to be. But I thank you for taking my call.
Great call, Shonda. Outstanding. Yes. And the mentally ill among us are causing problems. And it isn't medicine and sex changes that they need. It's analysis, therapy, observation. Why couldn't we keep that crazy lady that killed the firefighter detained for a little bit longer after we found out she'd been biting cops? She'd already committed other offenses. Now you're biting cops. Something's not right here. Let's hold her if we need to change the law that says, okay, it's not about a flight risk, but there's a mental health assessment that needs to be done, why is that not written into pretty much any violent crime? That we can hold this person for mental observation and not release them to the public. If it's a Saturday, you've committed the offense, I'm sorry, you got to stay until Monday. We're going to get a psychologist in here or somebody in here to evaluate you and find out if you're a threat to the public. We have got to start doing that. And if it means people get detained for a couple of days because you committed a crime, I don't feel sorry for you. Here's what I don't want. If I ever bite 2 cops and I'm in jail and miss the show for a week, don't feel bad for me. I should be there, and they should be looking into what the hell Radio Boy did. That's just a fact. Uncanceled continues on KCMO Talk Radio.
Whether you're a Jayhawk, Wildcat, Tiger, or KC Roo, we won't cancel you. Kevin Kietzman, Uncanceled, on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
All right, Mark Van Sickle, you got big shoes to fill. I think this was one of our better shows today. The callers were excellent. We had 3 ladies call the show today. I'm always pleased with that. Outstanding comments by all of them. How would you rate the callers of this show today?
Rating the callers of the show, man, the ladies would definitely have to be top 3.
I mean, it was good today.
No offense to all you other men out there, but that was great.
No, it was really thoughtful. Some really, really good discussion today. What do you think we should do with this Tesla terrorist?
I mean, I think that the person should still be in jail.
Yeah.
I don't think that they should. I don't know about the whole gender affirming care stuff. Like, if it's going to make them flip out and be weird, maybe they should still get it in jail. But I don't know why they can't still give it to them in jail. That's the thing.
I think it's because it's not necessary. It's
Yeah,
not like
that's true.
it's not like they're diabetic and they need their insulin.
Yeah.
It's an optional thing. Would you give a woman her Botox injections in jail?
No.
No, I don't think so. So I'm assuming that's why, which I'm for. I think this has to become a national story, don't you think? I mean, don't you think the right wing, the right side media are going to jump all over this thing and get to Pam Bondi and try to figure out what the heck's going on?
I think so. I saw Riley Gaines tweeted about it yesterday.
Okay.
So I think that'll start rolling the ball a little bit.
It's got to be coming. This from Redfin, which is a real estate site. Redfin reports that home sellers are greedy. Who would have guessed that? It's the biggest gap ever reported, apparently. What home sellers are asking and what the average sales prices are they're selling for now have a $39,000 average gap in America. That's pretty big. That doesn't mean houses aren't selling for good prices. They chalk this up to a lot of people know what their house is worth now, and some of them have really low mortgages and they don't want to move or whatever, but they'd consider doing it if the price was right, that they'll sort of list their home and squat on it if they get the real money. So let's say that the average is $39,000. If you've priced it $80,000 more than what you probably should get, and somebody's willing to pay it, somebody may be willing to sell their house and move. Sounds like we're getting greedy out there.
I mean, a couple of years ago in 2021, that's why we put our townhouse up, because
Just to see?
we thought, you know what? The housing prices are going up. If we can get over what we're asking, we might as well move into a bigger house. And that's what we ended up doing.
Okay, so it did sell for, you were really pleased with what it sold for.
It worked out. Yeah.
That's what people are trying to do right now. That's pretty cool. John Anthony with a great stat today. I hadn't heard this, and I really don't know his source, but it's awesome. We're the 7th deadliest bird-killing city in America. Kansas City is?
That's rough.
What is it? 50. Oh, he's giving me a 50. Oh, here he comes. Come on, John. I need context on this one. John works really hard during this hour doing a whole bunch of other stuff, which is why you don't hear his voice
a lot going on.
very often here. But now he's trying to hand signal to me, and that's not going to get it. I love the story.
No, there are too many numbers. Channel 5 had the story.
Oh, Channel 5. Okay, but it's some sort of study.
7th
Seventh?
deadliest city for birds.
And it's because the windows reflect and the birds fly.
That's my guess. I haven't delved into the story. I haven't been really that concerned about aviary health.
Well, let's do the three of us here. How many bird deaths at your house, John, over the years, your entire lifetime?
I see it more where I work in these reflective windows. So
Okay.
I've seen 2 or 3 where over the course of a spring, a cardinal just beat itself to death. You know, literally.
What about they fly in and die? Have you had that happen at your house?
Yeah, they think they're, sometimes they think they're flying on through, to an open window, but other times they think they're attacking another bird that's close to their nest.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of happens where the trees are real close to the window, like even right here.
Fantastic. Mark?
We've lived in this house for 3 years, and we've had 3 bird deaths.
Wow.
We have a pretty big window.
Uh-huh.
And one this spring has been constantly attacking the window at itself.
Yeah.
It hasn't died, but it's just been attacking itself.
I don't remember any of the birds that attack themselves dying. I'm telling you, we've had at least 10. And this is going back to the 90s, okay?
Yeah.
The other house we had at Falcon Ridge was pretty high up, and we had these big windows, and every spring a bird would just fly in thinking it's going off into the blue skies. And we'd hear it. You'd be in the other room, and you'd go, bang! We go, uh-oh, bird strike.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, real fast. Noah Cameron, 6 1/3, no hits. What do you think?
Love it. Love it. I know he's going back to Omaha, but I'd like to see him up again this season.
He walked 5, and they hit him really hard.
That's true. But he finished it all right.
See what kind of downer I am? The Vince Show's coming up next. Thanks for listening to Uncanceled.